Welcome back. We are here for the main event. It is time. You are with my man Brian Rest. I'm Jeff Gross. We are going to be covering the main event here, event number 9, $100,000 euros. This is a big one, Rest. What's on your mind?
I'm excited. This is time. It's the main event. And, this is going to probably be the biggest tournament of the series. So I'm looking forward to the action. And, I don't know. That's it, man.
That's where you're at. Well, I'll tell you what we were just discussing. Ras was supposed to play. He's thinking about a 50K turbo tomorrow. I don't know if we've given word to the team here, but he is considering.
Mustafa Knit was over there, and he was trying to convince me, like, listen, man, if you're going to play the 50K turbo tomorrow, actually, you can reg 2 levels into the 100K. Maybe you should do that. So, I mean, I don't want to give anything away. I don't know what I'm going to do. We're going to play it by ear. I'm just going to do the commentary right now, but afterwards, I'm going to take a look at the field and make a decision.
Well, we're going to be taking a look at a very special feature table. If we can tease the app here for a second, the Triton Poker Plus. Let's look. We got Paul Poix, Patrick Antonius, as well as some other massive crushers in the game. So let's get you into the action. Let's take you to the table. Let's take a look at these guys getting situated, sorted. They're already in. The tournament has been underway, and there is Patrick Antonius. Big Al in the mix. You might remember him from the Triton Million. Cashed it, put on some big bluffs, and he is not afraid. So we are going to be getting to see him there as well. And Panakov's online crusher off to a very nice start.
Same with Hecklin.
Yeah.
Online crusher.
Yeah, Tion Mulder got himself a title at Cyprus for Triton. So got an eclectic group here. And there's that shirt. My man is ready to go in case he is out. Maybe a first flight to Hawaii or somewhere. He's looking very excited with his feature again. We're going to see my man Paul Poix with some ducks in there. And Paul already got a title this week, Ras. Got to feel good to get that 20th cash and get a win finally. A lot of seconds and big scores, but gets the win. And we are in the main. This is definitely exciting. As you said, maybe the biggest prize pool of the entire series.
I mean, it feels like it probably will be.
Yeah.
I mean, the only bigger buy-in, I think, is the 150K short deck, but it probably gets less runners. Is it enough less runners to make it less than this? Probably. I guess I would guess this has a bigger prize pool. What do you think?
Well, there's the 100K short deck main, which also could be pretty big, but probably not as big.
No, the short deck main won't be as big as this one, I don't think.
Yeah.
But there's a 150K short deck. I mean, that probably gets bigger buy-in than the 100K short deck, but I would guess both are still smaller than this one.
Yeah. Well, either way, it's big, and we.
I mean, there will be people that. I think there's more people that don't play the 100 or 150K short deck that are here than that don't play this.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a big buy-in, and this is a couple of. I don't want to say big hands. We got a pair. We got King Queen suited, which feels like a big hand. We see the 7-4 off actually jump into the lead there in the big blind, but difficult hand to play.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anybody flopped a big hand. That's for sure.
No. These don't qualify. We're going to see some big hands. King Queen suited is a nice starter pack, and on the turn does pick up the additional equity. So let's see if Hecklin has any plans here to try to win it. If you're Tion Mulder, you know you got a little piece of the board, but it is a bit of a tough way to. It's hard to get to the river there, even if you do have the best hand. Let's see if he's able to.
Yeah, Hecklin seems like the person who is going to try to win this pot, and he does by leading. It's very small, though. Small enough that I think Mulder is going to strongly consider continuing with his pair of sevens here. Yeah, he's getting 5-1. Pretty good price and easy fold for Paul.
Yeah, when you raise those deuces, kind of usually tell yourself, I'm just going to hit a set or get out of the way. Sometimes hello. This is a very nutted
Yeah,
card.
although I can't imagine Hecklin getting another chip out of it, because if he bets, I don't see how Mulder calls, and if he checks, I don't see how Mulder bets. So I just don't see an eventuality at this point where Mulder's putting more chips in the pot.
Yeah, and he could even just go, you know, he's got, it's an option too to understand your opponent where he might be at. The nice thing about betting small here is if your opponent does have an 8 somehow, you know, you definitely open up the opportunity to raise. And if your opponent doesn't have much, you're not going to get called for a big bet. So this is, I like this bet.
Yeah, clearly the small bet. Oh, wow. So Mulder's turning his hand into a bluff. So that was, I guess, the way he puts another chip in the pot. But
interesting.
So
Interesting. He goes for the small bet, gets him to kind of bite there, and if his opponent doesn't have a straight, just a one-pair hand, maybe finds a fold. But either way, he was very short, and it looks like we'll be planning to re-enter, would be my guess. Or otherwise a very casual way to go for your last.
Well, I mean, I guess he didn't. Well, he didn't call the bet.
Right.
That much we knew wasn't happening. But
right.
Thank you.
Do it here, right?
Yeah.
Hecklin bet small enough that he felt he had fold equity and moved in over the top, which was exactly what Hecklin wanted. I mean, there was no bet 3-bet there. No opportunity for that because obviously the stacks weren't deep enough.
One big blind.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Found a way to get the chips. After all, hits the nuts on the river, bets and gets raised. Paul with another playable hand. This one a little more welcoming than the deuces. Ace king, more potential, more power, more maneuverability. Big Al in the mix. Got to catch up with him the other day. He played the Triton Million and made the final table. Also had a couple of signature bluffs and plays, and a man that is not afraid to play some of the biggest cash games in the world, and made the trip over. Gonna call here, find himself dominated, but he is in position.
There's his 9.
Yeah.
And on a flop that isn't very good for ace king. I mean, when you get flatted in position, this is a flop that, this is a board that it's not that good for you. So we'll see. I mean, I think Paul Foy's, I mean, unless he takes an aggressive bluff line, this kind of seems like the spot where you generally find a give up after a c-bet.
Does have a club working in there. Maybe some intentions of betting big and betting a club if it were to hit on the river if he doesn't improve. But I mean, yeah, also just the spot to easily slow down and sort of say, okay. And Big Gal going to check back, has some showdown. Still now has the best hand and a relatively safe card in his mind.
And I mean, I don't know if Paul's going to find a bluff with this hand, even though he doesn't expect to win. He is beating hands like King 10 and King Queen. So kind of Queen 10 even. Some of it depends on like how often will my opponent bluff with those hands. But yeah, I don't know that Ace King's the hand you want to bluff with there. So.
Yeah, Big Al does throw a little taste out there, a little feeler. Doesn't show his hand down in the moment and kind of realizes as it was played, very likely has the best of it. So Big Al picks up a pot. Paul, very familiar, I'm sure, with Al and him playing the £1 million one drop, or well, it wasn't the one drop. It was the Triton charity event in London. So I think both have played the one drop as well. But anyone who's putting up $1 million buy-in, Rast, you're in that category. You gotta give a little tip of the cap and respect for either a couple of different reasons. You know, pulling up $1 million and taking a go at a tournament is not too many people can say they've done that.
Yeah, that is true. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, and here we see some playable hands. Two 9s and Jack 10.
Yeah, Paul somewhat likely to 3-bet this. Feels like a solid favorite to 3-bet, but doesn't have to.
36.
Yeah, goes with 4x.
36.
Picks it up. Picks it up. Yeah, I mean, what are your factors there deciding to call or raise? So you're out of position.
I mean, I think versus a button open, you should just generally be raising it. maybe some players who want to play very passively for whatever reason wouldn't, but I would expect Paul, especially in the middle of the rebuy period, to 3-bet a hand that's supposed to be 3-bet in that spot. You know, I don't want to say all the time. I don't know for sure, but feels like the right play all the time.
Yeah.
9.
This gentleman has a nickname Ty. He is been playing pretty much all the no limit events. Paul getting a nice distribution here so far, getting some pairs and ace king.
36.
And again, gonna go with the $36,000 price.
I fold. So now you have to give me the signature and the video.
Huh?
I fold. So now you have to give me the video and the.
Oh,
This is a short video. You just have to like sign the hat and say
Okay.
Tenata.
okay.
Thank you.
Goes by Ty, getting Paul to agree to some sort of situation there. So fair play.
Yeah, I mean at 50 big blind stacks, just to go over this old hand while we're waiting, 9s is pretty much 100% 3-bet. So I don't know, unless you have some special reason why you don't want to.
Yeah,
It's just, I mean, you're just like so solidly ahead of the button opening range. You know, get some value.
yeah. There's a look at Patrick Antonius, who has dragged plenty of pots in his day, plays some of the highest stakes cash games in the world, PLO in particular. I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing him in the 25K PLO event. That's for
Feel
sure.
better,
That's his
You were sick, right?
favorite game.
Yeah.
Better now. Better now.
Few guys get sick. Many guys. I
Food
know.
poisoning.
Oh, maybe all guys
Food
ate the
poisoning.
same food.
That's that's what I got.
Yeah.
I didn't eat for 2 days almost now.
Well, I hope it's not the same buffet we're sharing,
don't
Russ.
know what I-
Been seeing.
I feel
I feel
great.
great.
I
Yeah,
mean,
the food's been
listen,
good.
the food poisoning is always from a specific dish. So if we didn't get it, we didn't get it.
Got it like
Yeah.
a few days.
Hey,
after.
there's run variants in all kinds of ways, but that doesn't sound fun. Good to see him back in time for the main. Certainly not something you want to be doing is partaking in a 6-figure Euro buy-in if
Big.
you're not feeling up for it.
Big Al with the snowman.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello. There's the welcome aces, Panakovs, and the big blinds.
So he's an online player.
Yeah, I see him just absolutely shredding fields like the 10K Super Millions on GG. There a lot, as well as some other high stakes online tournaments. Definitely.
See what size he goes here. I mean,
42.
okay, so he's going a little under 5x. And remember, the effective stacks here are, it's not the 700K he has, because these opponents, neither of them had 400K.
Yeah, this will be curious what Al does. Someone who is just, loves to see flops. He's a talented player. He's played a lot of poker in his day, but also may step out a little bit of the GTO sort of line in spots. But he does go ahead and release it. Not getting.
I wonder. I wonder. What do you? That's a close spot right
Yeah,
there.
For sure. I'm just saying I could see him go either way, definitely, and I think either way would be warranted. I'm just curious how he's approaching it. He's already chipped up from 250 to looks like almost 350, and Panakovs is a very, very healthy start, as well as Makita, our 4-time Triton winner, and Kevin Paquet is currently leading, hovering over just below 1 million, so a 4x start for him. Pretty special draw up to the event.
Big race, Big L.
Big Al, 10 deuce suited in the cutoff. Look at that, Rast.
Big hand, big race.
10 2 of hearts. Little
Could I get
the Brunson
red?
Doyle, 10-2. I mean, that's definitely out of the ordinary a little. Got some moves, having some fun. Do you support that open 10-deuce suited rest? I mean, that's a.
I mean, listen. From the perspective of, are we having fun?
Yeah.
I support it. From the perspective of, is this winning poker? Well, no.
Right. It depends. Depends though. You know, he's just. Big Al with the 10-deuce hard open. If anyone at home wanted to make sure the graphics are right, but Big Al's got moves. He's got tricks, and he is not afraid. And he is fun to watch. Patrick Antonius with a very playable hand. Also chipped up here so far to 380. And he's going to go ahead and 3-bet the limp.
No,
the limp.
Just raised the limp, right? Do we call it 3-bet?
I'm sorry. He squeezed limp. And Panakovs has a playable hand on the button. And these two have some
Let's see what he decides to do here. I mean, I feel like I kind of like limp in his spot. I mean, sorry, call. Yeah, you could 3-bet Patrick. Patrick is throwing some. Okay, wow, he's going for it. So my style in the spot is when, you know, I see Al coming in for the limp there. I call. I feel like I generally want Al in the pot, and I'm in position on everybody.
The interesting part, though, is he does generate a fold from a hand that's dominating him, not dominating with king queen.
Yeah.
And now actually has Patrick out of position, oversuited, and kind of.
Yeah, and obviously
No,
not
I
your
mean,
fault,
it
but I think like
obviously
I've
is.
seen
Right, seeing the
play
cards
and
and how it
and
is. But
Oh wow, is
before
Patrick?
this hand started.
Nothing
Wow.
to do about that now.
how
Yeah,
about
I think
that?
obviously it's done.
I mean,
It's done.
you can just buy the button if you want.
Beautiful hand.
There we go, Patrick. Don't
Very-
let these. Can't let these young guys just run over you.
No.
They can't. It's like they can't help themselves. They can't just call and let the other guy in the pot. Let's play three-way pot with
It would be the same for
the
him.
amateur player
I
who's
just get
limping.
one free hand.
Yeah.
We got a 3-bet. We can't help. Patrick knows what's going on.
I'm still gonna play
And,
this.
and Sir Ike.
He's like, you know what? If we're not gonna let the amateur player in the pot, I'm gonna punish you, buddy,
he was
I
even
love it. It's-
for your unwarranted aggression.
Yeah. There was stuff going on there.
I would. So here's why.
Whatever.
As Panakov's in that spot,
It's not gonna
I'm
happen
just.
anyways.
I'm picking. Like he has a beautiful hand to play at least 3-way with Al.
Collectively,
So like
not even-
I'm playing that hand for a call.
Like,
If
I
you
would
want
be
to
like, I would
3-bet
get
Patrick,
the
like
least.
ace-9 off. That's a hand you don't want to really call and have Al come in the pot, right? Like ace-9 off, or queen-8 suited, or something like that. I just queen-10 suited. It's like beautiful on the button 3-way. Let
Yeah.
Al in the pot.
Yeah,
Right.
I buy the button. It's good for everybody except for me.
Okay.
All right, we have a couple pairs matched up here, and
I don't
as
even
Jungle
know
likes
if
to
it's-
call
it's
Ike,
just
the Prince of
that on the bottom.
Darkness has entered the table, Sir Ike
But
Haxton.
I'll tell you what, that's actually something I think is one of the differences between, you get these young guys, listen, they're amazing. They crush it online. But sometimes they're like so wedded to kind of what the correct GTO play is that they don't take these things into account. I think a lot of them don't have experience playing kind of like, these live games where you have really good pros, you have amateurs or this. They're not as used to those kind of games. I feel like they don't always make the best adjustments.
Right.
So to me, not that it's a big deal, not that it's even that much of a mistake to do it, but in those kind of spots, like with that hand, I really like letting Al in and playing a 3-way pot with a guy who's not a professional poker player.
For
you
sure.
know?
Yep. Also, a man that's not afraid, Patrick Antonius goes ahead and takes the 9-8 suited and just takes it upstairs. So, got to factor
Yeah.
that in too. Are you going to get bluffed out there as well, which happened?
I'm giving away too many secrets, JG.
No, I think
I
it's,
can't do it.
Or is it just enough?
It was a great play.
All right, Antonius getting busy here at the final table, or feature. Not the final yet, Ras. It's day one. Calm down. The feature table. It is Antonius putting in some. He's V-pipping pretty hard. He's getting playable hands, but he knows what to do with it.
Here we go. Queen Jack suited. He doesn't have the most comfortable stack. Oh no, it's still over 50 blinds. 60 blinds actually, so it's pretty comfy.
Yeah, fairish fight, although Patrick in position.
Yeah. Not after that flop.
Nope, no longer in the lead. You can see the big change in equities, and Patrick checks back pretty quickly.
He has the ace of spades working for him, a hand I think probably most people would c-bet most of the time, but it's gonna save him money this time because
yeah, this is kind of, it gets a little peculiar. There are hands you can start thinking of that you're beating that are flatting the small blind, some suited broadways, and you do have the ace of spades, and
Wow.
sometimes you can just hit the ace. I mean, that's also on.
well, to me, I think when Patrick calls turn, he is thinking about bluffing
Right.
flush cards quite a bit, but now he doesn't have to bluff. He just made the best hand, and that's a card Paul's not gonna like very much.
Yeah,
He kind of bet small enough on the turn where he definitely can't rule out ace high's calling, ace king, ace queen. Probably a little bit surprised to find ace 10, but kind of makes sense when you see it's the ace of spades that check back flop instead of c-betting.
yeah, this is a pretty grim river card for Paul, and he knows it. Are there hands that Patrick checks back on the flop, maybe like sevens or some pairs that he's thinking that he's turning into a bluff now? But it's
I mean, I think the hands you most expect to find would be a hand like queen 10 or queen 10. Sorry, not king. Like queen 10,
But
queen 9 suited.
I agree, but I wouldn't queen 10 and queen 9 suited try to bet that flop, probably? That's
Maybe.
where I think that's where the...
Probably, yes, and Paul ends up folding, right? But again, just like most people would normally bet the ace 10 with the ace of spades
Yeah.
on the flop, you know, I think
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is, you know, even though the majority play would be to bet queen 10, it's not like they're super deep, right? Like, I think, you know, it was like, what, 55 blinds? You could check back queen 10 or queen 9 there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like if you hit your gutter, you need to bet the flop in order to like win all the chips or something.
Yeah.
You know, they're 50 blinds effective behind. So, you know, I think it's a hand that should most people bet most of the time, but like sometimes gets checked. The point is I think you kind of have to start reaching for bluffs a little bit. You know what which is to your point. And that's ultimately why Paul ended up folding, and it was a good fold. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. I mean, 2 10s, early position versus small blind, so I think Hecklin sort of realizing here what he's up against, something like this, or he could even be behind.
All right, and this is one of those tricky flops because, you know, 3 to a wheel. So let's put ourselves in Hecklin's shoes. If your opponent, you know, has a larger pair, he's going to be pretty happy with that board and be betting. And if your opponent has the big aces or just any ace that he 3-bet with, he's still going to be like somewhat bold because in addition to any overcard equity, there's also the 3 equity. So it's one of those things where you just proceed with caution.
Yeah, definitely not folding. And
Ooh.
there it is, betting on the come. Al keeps control of the hand and does go ahead and pair that ace on the turn. So this is not a sight Hecklin likes because he is going to be pretty much behind every hand Al is 3-betting now. And now Al decides to check.
The good news for Al is that, the good news for Hecklin is that this was an ace and not a king. A king is a much harder card for him to play. right? Because now it's not quite as sure that it hits your opponent. And Hecklin 10s are just much too good to turn into a bluff. He's just happy to get the showdown, and he figures they're probably no good, right? But maybe Al has 8s or some goofy hand. Yeah, I think you're going to have a lot weaker hands. You can end up turning into bluffs like, who knows, 6s or flush draw, which would have got there, the backdoor hearts, hands that you floated flop with, etc. So 10s, just check down, expect to lose, hope you win.
Yeah, nice pop for Al, though.
Here we go. Paul with a fun little hand in the cutoff. This nice suited 1-gappers. I just, from my cash game days, when you make the straights, the 1-gappers, they just never see it. I mean, they know there's a chance, but it's hard to believe it. Unfortunately, we're not playing a couple hundred big blinds deep here, so this is not a comfortable spot for 9-7 suited. And yeah, Paul gives it up. You know, versus the 3-bet there, if they were a lot deeper in position, Paul probably defends, but not off of 50-odd blinds.
Yeah, Patrick been active. Him and Al having a nice record at this feature. I keep wanting to say final. We're a long way from the final, but we are at the feature, guys, and we have got
You guys friends?
Maybe in future.
several days of main event action
That was
coming
very,
up.
I mean, I don't know.
very casual. As if
I figured he knew what was up, you know.
it's like a demand. Not asking nicely, just give it.
Work.
My bad.
You
My
were
bad, I
friends? Fair enough. Maybe it's just a good read that he might be pissed.
Okay. I mean, it wouldn't offend me.
All right, ace queen dealt again, this time of the suited variety. Hecklin in the big blind sees Patrick, who's been very active, open to king 10 unsuited. Certainly going to put the price of poker up, you would imagine, although there's probably a world in which he
42?
flats, but not today, not now, not with Patrick and his pressing.
And to this sizing, I think Patrick probably lets it go. They're not that deep. And even if they are, king 10 off isn't really the hand you really want in this spot. I think sometimes you would defend king 10 off versus some 3-bets here, but I mean, not when it's like 60 blinds and your opponent nearly 5x's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his wheels are spinning. You know, he's thinking about maybe putting in the 4-bet there, but he already just got the 9-8 suited through. It's those are the ones where you get the light one through and then you get a real hand. It's nice, but when you're,
I mean,
you know, you look very active and you
not
have
so
that.
bad. It's a
It's
high
tough.
roller, but like if you do that in like a WSOP.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't figure the guy would be offended if I just throw him a chip without asking.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I think the strike rate in WSOP might be
Yeah, my bad.
1 in 4.
I guess I should default to just asking people.
Dude, don't do it to a cranky
All
looking
right,
guy
Paul
in a cowboy.
suited
Fair
king
enough.
jack, very playable, very nice sight. He is going to go ahead and kick it up to 9,000. We were playing the blind level 2,000, 4,000, 4,000. You can see in the lower left, 47 to 68 remain. Re-entry open for tomorrow.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have done that.
Table, how to watch
Still.
That was a large 3-bet sizing.
You should put them first
Yeah.
here. And then you
Was.
just take him and pay.
Yeah.
normal. But it's like, you know,
Not sure where.
you don't have to keep him there after it just first.
All right, I'm going to take a peek here and call 7-5 off. 2-1 underdog versus the current hand out of position. But as we see a flop, he does jump into the lead. Both players not much, but enough. You know, bottom pair. Big range advantage for Paul, who is going to likely c-bet, although he has no heart, no diamond. Does have the gut shot and overs and can get some folds forcing Ike with a hand. And this is a tough one for Ike to really hold on to much here. See what Paul's going to do. I think he will come with some size, some bet, maybe smallish.
Yeah, I mean, I think flopping a pair, Ike is going to continue to this sizing, probably a decent amount.
It's just, it is dicey. You have no red card.
Yeah,
no
I guess
heart.
it's under
like
the gun +1. But yeah,
Yep.
it's a dicey spot, but under half pot, it feels like if you're folding a 5, you're defending. Really, you're just folding all the time. But yeah, it's not good. And this is a board Paul could easily barrel, and it's going to be very hard for Ike to continue here. Like, borderline impossible. Paul has a pretty nice hand to barrel with. I mean, he has a lot of equity versus a 10 or a 5. He's unblocking hearts. So, and you want to get the heart draws to fold, like some like jack high flush draws type stuff, especially. So like, he doesn't do it, but you could easily see something like 2/3 pot or more on the turn, and likely would have worked. But yeah, I mean, that other hand with Patrick, I mean, King 10 off actually usually defends there. It's one of the weaker hands, offsuit hands, but you defend it versus a 3-bet. But like that's maybe more versus like a 4x or slightly under 4x sizing. So versus like a nearly 5x sizing, I actually kind of like Patrick's decision to fold. Anyway.
5.
5 gets it done. Ike asserts himself at the table. Paul, I think, yeah, mixed there is on the turn if he's going to bet or not.
Yeah, I'm sure there's sometimes he barrels away at it. I think he has a pretty good hand too. Actually, a pretty decent hand to 3-barrel, but.
And look at that, Ras. Speaking of, a Polymarket promo has popped up. Look at that, man. Poker. Will Americans win 6 or more events at the Triton Series Madrid 2022? Well, straight flush. I'm sorry. Not events. That'd be a lot, Ras. 6 Americans winning. So we're going to go and say, what do you think on that, Ras, on the 6 there from Polymarket? Have you looked at Polymarket? Do you understand how that works? Do you know you can put up, people always talk at the table, Ras, like, hey, I bet you this, I bet you that. You can just go there and set a line, set a price. You can literally put up and, like, people put the money where their mouth is. Any thoughts?
Let's do it. Polymarket.
Boom. Ras, I got you. I want to get a Polymarket Ras bet on there. I want to try to pick you out. Adamo's won 2 events. That would have been an interesting line. I mean, winning 2 in Triton so far with the main.
Yeah, obviously you'd be getting a good payout on that.
You'd be piping Polymarket. Someone would be taking a bat there. And as we look at another open from Hecklin, this time no one with anything to play with. I know I saw the Ivy one. There was a Polymarket Ivy. If he would win an event, I think he's had a few final tables, including today. What else? There's been some other good lines, but it is nice that there's a market where you can basically bet on anything. So make sure you guys check that out. And a very nice sponsor, one of the many at Triton Poker, some top echelon brands and companies. So look at that look. Big Al looks. I mean, this is a fancy place, the Gran Via here in Madrid. Very nice ballroom casino. It's just it's nice. They got nice stuff here, and Big Al's got the scarf look going. Looks very European, very sophisticated. It's come in and chipped up nicely, up to almost 400,000. Field's going though, Ras. 47 to 68. The average is getting up there. Where are you trending one way or the other on if you're playing the main event tomorrow, or gonna be a nighttime, go home, sit down, take a look, and think?
I'm gonna wait till the day's over.
9.5.
I'm gonna take a look. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna ask James.
Get clearance first before you just. To be fair, you know, you took it's not like it's a 3-day. Like Mustafa was saying, if you play, you're in basically the final table if you make it through tomorrow, and you could, you know, You're in here today, so I don't know. Let's think about it.
Yeah, 2-day. I mean, I make the final table of that. Maybe I just don't play the PLO. So it's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Don't make the final table, then I play the PLO.
All right, we see Ike saw maybe Big Alec with the 10 deuce suited hearts get a little saucy here. He's got the 10-3, a little different position though. Raises and
I think 1, right?
Chara with the nice
Drake, you know
3
what time
bet
we
there.
start
Just
tomorrow?
telling Ike, man, you
They
better
do.
come with a little more respect than the 10 deuce heart on my SB. I'm gonna
It's 10-3. 10-3 of hearts.
yeah, it's check his temperature.
Well, is this last 1 hour?
One more.
Do you say why so much?
Yes.
I'm a simple man. So I just ran it after you made 10, I got 4x.
Fair enough.
Also, you're much better than me and you're in position,
I mean-
so I might as well charge you a little bit more to see the flop.
10-3 suited. It's probably at the bottom, but it's not unreasonable. Button open. I mean, there's a full big blind ante. Ooh, Ike here. 60 blinds versus UTG. Feels like a comfy little flat. Just getting a nice little price. Try to flop a set. Maybe someone else can even come in. No dice. Get an even better price.
The Rockets for Antonius, who has been super active here though.
Oh,
Not,
it's low, but not low enough.
yeah.
And aces are still aces. And Antonius with a nice little flop check here. Aces is a great hand to play this way. Identifies that this board is slightly better for the cutoff flatting range. Definitely cutoff probably has some of the more 2 pairs and even straights. Maybe Antonius isn't opening the 9-7. Suited
yeah.
under the gun, unclear. Little pot control, and aces. If your opponent checks back, you're not giving any. There's no overcards, right? Like you check tens. 4 different, jack through ace or overcards. So it's a little dice here to check the tens. Ace is a little cleaner. So Ike with a bet that is kind of a mostly protection type bet, trying to maybe get hands with equity to fold. And Antonius says, I mean, pretty much let's just play for it here.
Yeah, he also doesn't have a dime in his hand, so for sure Haxton can have some suited Broadway diamonds.
This is aggressive, and it's going to work versus 3s, but
Why so much?
the way that hand played, I don't know that Antonius is going to fully like the range of hands that end up getting in with him,
Loud.
given that Ike didn't 3-bet, right? So it's like Ike's pretty unlikely to have kings or queens. So this type of range that Ike's getting in there for the flop check raise with the small bet, combo draws, hands that are beating him aren't folding for sure, such as 2-pair plus, pair and open ender. Maybe Ike gets in, again, 9s, which would be behind but have the gutter. Does Ike, he probably calls 10s or jacks that didn't 3-bet pre. Might not continue on the turn. But I think when you play aces for a check there at nearly 60 bigs effective, especially versus a small bet, I think you just go ahead and call. And you keep in all your opponent's like super low equity hands. But I don't know, maybe raises. It's an interesting play.
Yeah, it's interesting he had no diamond too. Definitely thinking maybe his opponent could have some queen jack, king queen of diamonds, stuff like that.
Or even no, well, he's actually normally that nut flush draw has that overcard.
Yeah.
But because he doesn't have the diamond, and Ike probably doesn't fold the nut flush draw, he's in very good shape against those hands, unless they have a pair or a straight draw with it. But like ace 10, right? I mean, he's like a 2-to-1 favorite because pretty much just hit the flush.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us. This has been quite a series so far, and we are entering the main event time. Of course, the winners of the short deck main and this main event will be getting a Jacob & Co. watch, which is pretty special, as well as the elusive title to be a Triton main event champion. Remember that Wai Kin Yong back in 2019 in London won the main event regular Nolan Hold'em, and then he took down second place right after against Justin Bonomo in short deck main event, both with 100+ entrants. Both were very, very big prize pools, and actually he had Justin Bonomo all in a couple times to win with the best hand, one time getting rivered, and Bonomo did come back to get his one of 2 titles. So exciting stuff here, a lot of possibilities, a lot of history to be made. We did see our first 4-time Triton winner just the other night. Mikita Badziakowski took heads up with Danny Tang, and they had, Ras, we covered that, a lot of flops, a long match, at least a 2-hour battle in that one where Mikita took it down.
Yeah, that was
pretty special.
I will forever remember that as the heads-up match where the 2 players had the most dedication of all time to seeing flops.
Yeah, they were.
That was it. That's the way I remember this one.
They were committed, and I'll tell you, here we see Big Al has a kicker issue on the ace-ace 9-8, and Panakov's now start thinking about maybe some value betting. There's some draws out there, the straight draws. This is dealer versus big blind, but he does decide just to pot control, and Big Al content with his 9. And on the river now, board is interesting. You have to think, though, can you target some king highs here? Big Al's checking down, maybe some showdown value, and the 9 with the queen kicker starts looking pretty good when it's checked around like this has played. So let's see if he can come up with some sort of value bet, maybe targeting king high. Although they actually share the 9, he might not think that is the case. He is going to bet something. And bet small, probably just going to get called. I don't think Al will raise this. Yeah, we welcome you guys on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, so many familiar faces. Thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you're enjoying. If you do, appreciate you guys hitting the follow button on Twitch. Subscribe on YouTube for free. And it means a lot. It helps the show, helps us, and a lot of work and effort goes into the streaming this high production value that you are getting to see some of the best, I believe, in poker, not to mention the Triton Poker Plus app, where you get to see the profile of your favorite players, can see the other tables. Go ahead and take a look at the outer ones, see hand histories that take place, chip graphs, and all around just, you know, I mean, this is special stuff I've never even seen in poker with that type of dedication and commitment to following along on your favorite player's path in these tournaments.
Yeah, that was, just spent a little time during your soliloquy thinking about that hand with Patrick and Ike.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think after checking and Ike betting, I think calling is definitely the dominant play. I mean, raise getting in is fine, but I feel like calling is slightly better. I'm not trying to imply that raising and getting in aces for 60 blinds there is bad, but I think if you kind of weigh everything out a little after checking, I think it's a preference to call. But both plays are fine, so I don't want to be too hard on say like Patrick's line that he chose anyway.
Absolutely.
I feel like check raise, like kings or queens, be hands that prefer it quite a bit more. And wow, Big Al with a set. He's just going to be a little sad that he's not going to get anything. Man, bottom set on 10-9-5 with a flush draw. It's a pretty damn good hand to have.
Yeah, it's hard to knock any action. You don't block the top pairs or
even middle pair.
Yeah.
It's a lot of draws.
Didn't want to make things uncomfortable.
He's American. He's used to, you know, you can't get away with it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Get shot for stuff like that.
Yeah, the guys jockeying for position. Of course, still re-entry open. 2 levels of re-entry and registration tomorrow still available for this. I mean, we could see up to 100 entrants. Hard to say exactly, but most players here they're eliminated, likely to take a chance at a rebuy. Probably some new faces going to come in, including, you know who, yours truly right next to me, Brian, is considering strongly that. And, you know, there's this is going to be a big purse, that's for sure. 6.8 million already there.
Yeah. 47 out of 70. So 70 entrants.
Yeah, here we see Ike pair a king 8 of clubs, although tricky hand to play multi-way. No one else has that much, although Patrick does find mid-pair and content to check it back. Patrick now with a blocker to the nuts. Jack 10 would be the straight, so Ike with top pair has some decisions to do. Does he want to start doing a little protection, feeling where he's at, decides, you know what, it's dynamic board. I mean, it's super, super draw heavy here, too, with Jack 10 being the straight. There's 2 flush draws already. Paul, 7-8 suited, absolutely nothing going. Thinks about it, but checks it over. So Patrick bets, and as played, you can't think Ike, know where he's going to go. He's kind of just pot controlling, has some deception going on, but no way as played, checked around on the flop. He's going to be releasing top pair here, so let's see what he's up to.
Yeah, he's taking his time.
Got a lot of chips.
Patrick checked back the flop.
I know they look.
And yeah, he calls, which seems like the most reasonable option. Just keep the pot small.
A lot of rivers he's going to be guessing on, though, if he were to check and face a bet, but start with that and then go to a relatively huge brick, considering how much stuff, how dynamic it was. No heart, no spade, no 10.
I mean, the good news for him is that Patrick has a hand that probably won't bluff too much. I mean, a 9 with a decent kicker is probably going to feel good enough for showdown. I guess now Ike could check. I mean, I don't think he ever bets big. If he does bet, it's probably something in the 3rd pot size or less, down to block. Yeah. So
goes super small into 59, bets 10. It's kind of interesting because Patrick sort of now is maybe realizing where he's at, that it's not great. He might not have the best hand. He does have blocker to the nuts, but he's going to ultimately call. And well played by Ike to sort of control the pot and even set the price on the river.
yeah, nice hand, Ike.
Yeah, in game, it's always you know, you're sitting here, you're looking at it, you see blockers and where people, what they might be thinking, but when you don't know what's happening with all the cards and you're able to really put together a nicely played hand, it's fun to watch these guys work. Some different styles at this table as well. Everyone's got a style, Rast.
True story.
Yeah, Paul, after his title, you know, looking to get back on the horse, he seemed pretty content, said, I'm happy with one, whatever happens, but I know he's already eyeing up this and looking at future stops. Hopefully there will be more Triton this year. I know nothing is official, but they're always checking out venues, making sure that the next tour is in place, the next stop on their tour. I like to call it the Champions League of Poker, which I think fits very well. Paul with a suited ace, couple suited aces in there. Queen Jack off, joins the
Actually,
party.
with the highest equity against 2 suited aces with undercards, but
yeah, highest equity, and now much higher equity Big Al is going to be.
Paul has a hand that maybe if he was deeper, if he was as deep as these other guys, 100 big blinds, he'd like betting more. It's nice to bet and then pick up a club, but I feel like at his stack depth, checking and pot controlling makes a bit more sense with his holding. And now Fochara has to feel like he has the best hand here quite a bit, just deciding how to navigate it. I mean, a bet's very reasonable. What size? Looks like he's going about a little less than half pot.
Yeah, in the 40% range, a little over that. And
Paul could definitely let this go. He doesn't have to, but three-way pot. I mean, he doesn't have any. Even something like Queen 8, we could see it wouldn't be better for him, but Queen 8 is a hand you'd like more. This is a bit of a sticky call. Maybe because the bet was under half pot, but I feel like in a three-way pot, you get into trouble quite a bit making this call on the turn.
yeah, so the flop spade flush completes, but likely to go check, I would imagine, but we'll see here maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if Fochara bets again, it has to be a block. There's no way you can go for any kind of reasonable value on this river because you have to think from your opponent's perspective. So he's going third pot, which is not a block, but it's small, which makes sense. But I mean, once the bet gets any large at all, it's like if your opponent had a hand that couldn't beat Queen Jack, now there's a whole nother class of hands that got there, right? If you're from Paul's perspective, if Fochara, could have had him beat or just got there with the flush, so it makes it even harder to call with a hand like this. Now you need to put your opponent on a hand like King Queen or like 10-3, King 10. So.
Patrick eating a little bit. Said he hadn't eaten in 2 days. Had some food poisoning. So hopefully goes down well. The blinds are at 2,500, 5,000. Big blind, 85,000. Price of poker going up. Field size shrinking a little, but re-entry still open. Yeah, we are going to be playing to a winner in this main event in the next coming days. Final table will be the day after tomorrow. Ike Caxton, ace-8 suited. He's been tangoing, making some good decisions. Can't be surprised on that.
A super standard open, and wow, we're going to get some action here. First, what is Fochara going to do with the King 10? He goes with the call. And Paul's going to go with the 3-bet. I'm going to go ahead and
You're going to go on a limb?
Go out on a limb.
Let's play sizing. Is it just 44, 45,
well,
50? He's actually a little bit shorter.
I mean, he's 30 blinds, but I think with 30 blinds, you don't have to just shove here.
No.
Right? So I think, and it doesn't make sense to go too big, so maybe like 4x.
Yeah,
oh, wow. He goes, this is small. That's a 3x size. This is really small.
And this is sort of a...
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he wants action with his particular hand. And so...
Yeah, it's a bit concerning for Ike. He does know the implied odds there. He sees Paul's stack doesn't have a full stack, but he just, he's got a suited ace. He's in position, and he's doing pretty well against any hand but aces. I mean, he's for that price.
Yeah.
And Chara with the King 10 off. This is where it starts getting dicey. Yeah, not many good situations and flops you can think of there for your hand with this action.
And Paul got his customer. And his customer got a really bad flop. Because not in the sense, now this is a flop where Ike is gonna think he just has enough. I mean, look at the SPR. We're not talking about Ike getting in a ton here. He has 239, but Paul only has 121. So
22.
Yeah, so Paul
22?
has a decision there to set a trap, maybe let Ike try to take control of the hand, but makes sense to just kind of continue leading and playing. But I don't know. I mean, this is going to work.
yeah, this is, you know, let's say Paul was doing it with a hand that wasn't so good, king
Right.
queen suited or something, right? I mean, maybe he keeps betting at it, and I mean, Ike has a lot of incentive to just move all in here at this point. Like, do you
All in.
call? Do you give over cards the chance to hit?
Must
You have top pair, top kicker. Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, pretty much dream scenario so far.
I mean, really, the one way to avoid that is if Ike makes the determination pre-flop that Paul is like has a super big hand when he makes it the sizing he did. Otherwise, there's nothing else to do. And that's quite the big read to make. So cannot fault Ike for not making it.
Yeah, fades the turn.
I mean, it's much easier to see it when you see Paul's cards.
And the river, very nice hand, well played, good sizing. Maybe a bit of an exploit. You know, he off his stack size, he's probably not going to make that sizing with all the hands, but you don't know that. And
Yeah.
when you get aces and you're able to keep an opponent in and just dangle enough, get a little piece
Yeah.
of that flop.
Yeah, Paul earned himself a nice pot there.
I had an ace. How do you have two of them? So many aces.
You should at least have 5 outs, right?
Yeah.
Not even fair.
No aces, probably kings.
I feel less stupid if it's kings.
And Ike kind of basically, in a very short way, encapsulating everything we've been talking about for the last minute with that joke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Between that conversation with Ike and Paul.
$10,500.
All right, but seems like he's going to get action from Al here. 8-7 suited, getting a great price in the big blind.
Really felt like it was just going to be aces.
Ah,
Really seemed like it was just going to be aces. A little 3-bet, little bet on the flop.
But you had an ace.
But I had an ace, so maybe it was something else.
yeah, maybe I was tilting, losing. Like a bullet.
No one buys that story.
No, but it's
You're
5s in the
tilting, you
lead, but
dust it off,
a
and
lot of
then you just
equity for
leave it.
Al. Actually, a pretty big favorite. Of course, some cards he can't just comfortably go to town, but he is got a pretty big piece of this board, and he knows 8 high semi bluff. That's a license to fire, and if you're 2 5s here, not really one you just feel like sticking on to. But look at this. This is
Wow.
why he's a young gun. Just gonna
Well,
buckle up.
the bad news for him is part of the reason why maybe he's calling is the spade. And if a spade did come, it would not be good. But wow, Al, no follow through here, and that's going to be music to Ponikov's ears because he gets to check back and then maybe even call rivers on a blank, right? Like, so let's say the board pairs or it's a deuce. Yeah, I mean, I just think Ponikov's going to end up calling this quite a bit if Al bluffs. I mean, you call a check raise on the flop and no draws get there. Yeah. But this is one of those times where
Yeah, this is pretty
you just
sick.
end up finding the call, right? no, all straight and flush draws missed. So you call the check raise on the flop, you know.
Call.
Yeah.
Big Al gonna taps the table and give some respect for that. That's a nice call down.
Yeah, if Al was going to win that, he needed to follow through with the bet on the turn.
Very nicely done there.
I don't think Ponikoffs can call a bet on the turn with that hand. But, you know, it's hard to know as Big Al that your opponent is kind of floating you that light, right? And obviously with 8 high, he'd love to get
king high, king queen to
king,
fold.
queen, queen 9, you know, so it makes sense. But pocket 5s, Big Al's going to be like, what?
Yeah. Hold the phone. Paul back over starting, and we see Isaac Haxton now 24 blinds, 118K after that. Aces into ace-8 suited top pair. Top kicker was in bad shape. Patrick been very active, almost doubling his stack so far, 250,000 starting chips. And the blinds are 2,500, 5,000 currently, 5K ante. Reg still open 2 levels tomorrow. We are in the main event of this Triton Madrid at the Gran Via. A beautiful, beautiful city, beautiful venue.
Looking at it, though, from the other perspective, I think the reason, well, part of the reason I would imagine that pocket 5s did continue is the check raise was very small.
Yeah.
I mean, 8K was a small bet into the pot already, right? I mean, it was like third pot or quarter pot or something. And then, you know, I mean, Al made a tiny check raise, so he was just getting a really good price. So I think, yeah, I think after check raising so small, maybe a follow-up bet on the turn in order to get some of those hands to fold would have been warranted, because the small check raise is just going to keep in a lot of weak hands in your opponent's range, as we could see. You know, maybe had he check raised much larger and gotten called, then the kind of turn shutdown follows up with that a little bit more, because now, hey, maybe my opponent has a hand strong enough, I'm not getting him to fold on the turn. I don't know, just waxing about the hand.
Fair play, though. Nice play from Ponikoffs. Got command of this feature table at the moment. Heckling ace-king under the gun. Kicks it up.
2.2. Ooh, 10-9 suited. That's pretty tight.
Oh, maybe caught a little breeze off Antonius. Took a one tell if a guy's eating a meal and he stops. Sometimes they got a good hand, and maybe Patrick taking a break from his sushi and looks over at a big pair in the small blind, though. Tough position to play from. He is going to go ahead and continue being aggressive. He's had a couple light ones today, so this is a real one, and be interesting to see Hecklin here with a few options with ace-king versus this action.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty standard here for 50-odd blinds to just ship it. That said, if he thinks Patrick is very strong, he could call. But yeah, I mean, this is the standard play, and Patrick has nowhere to go.
Yeah, he's not.
Cannot 3-bet this and fold. I will say I have seen something that crazy before, but I don't expect Patrick to be the guy to do it.
Yeah, well, if you're heckling and you don't get snap called, that's an amazing sign, right? Because you know you're not against kings or aces. So you start thinking about, all right, we're flipping maybe the same hands. And yeah, this is a big one. Patrick covers. He's still going to have 177 if he doesn't hold. 57.43 RAS. You like to call these not a flip. You start looking at that equity there, and that's.
I mean, 57.43.
Yeah, no,
can we not call that a
flip? We're not calling it when I'm on your side. I'm reiterating.
We watch short deck hands where this is like a big. You're like, oh, I'm a big favorite.
Oh. Door card with the queen right
Clubs.
behind.
He does have that club though.
Jack of clubs.
It's actually where he's getting most of his equity is the backdoor flush at this point, at 7%.
Yeah.
Nope.
Man, Patrick had to have a little Little quick look at that window. Didn't like it, but didn't have to sweat long. Right behind it was that queen, and Hecklin going to go ahead and be out of this tournament. Likely to re-enter. Never know, though. It's 100K. Start getting into later stages, but 50-plus blinds to even come back. Start it tomorrow, Rest. That's plenty for these guys. He's a crusher, and he will be removed from the feature and have a decision if he's going to come back now, tomorrow, or at all. I think we'll see him again, though. One of the legends of the game who's been... I think he's going to come back. I'd say the majority of these guys come back. You never know.
I think Henrik will re-enter.
Yeah.
765 or so.
I mean, the question at this point for him is whether you do it now or you just, go home.
Right. That's
and
more
just
the
come
question.
back tomorrow.
Fresh. Come
Yeah.
in.
I mean, now if you enter, then you're forced to come back at the start tomorrow. Whereas now you go home, you get a little bit extra time in your evening. You can, if you show up at the start, great. You show up 30 minutes late, no big deal, right? Your chips aren't already on the table.
Yeah.
Usually in this spot, I would not re-enter right away. I'd skip the last 40 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. I agree, but personal preferences.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people cannot miss a hand in the tournament.
So,
Paul with the 3-bet in position versus UTG. This is not that comfortable of a spot with ace queen off. I mean, he opens under the gun, repping a strong range. Paul still 3-bet. There's a couple ways you can play it. Yeah, call is fine. This is a hand you could put in the 4-bet with. It would be a 4-bet fold.
yeah.
You can do that. It's allowed.
Here's the problem. When you are getting sort of semi-bluffed, right, with a hand like queen, this type of hand, it's very tricky, though, to hit.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you hit the queen, you're not sure. The ace, you're not sure. You're kind of just...
I mean, that's poker, but
yes.
on this one, it looks like the worst hand's going to win because, I mean, unless Paul goes super small, and that's not super small, then it's dicey. I mean, yeah, you got the queen of hearts. I mean, this is just small enough that, like, he's going to think about continuing. Yeah.
The problem here, too, though, is it's so hard to really improve yourself.
The problem for Paul is that he does not really have a hand that probably barrels too much at this point. So, and the problem is if you're just one and doneing on the flop, it wasn't great to pick a sizing. I mean, he has like almost no barrels, right? Like maybe just a jack. So, I mean, he doesn't have a hearts or clubs in his hand. So I would have probably picked a slightly bigger sizing on the flop because, you're going to have some air balls like this that want to be one and done, and you're going to have some hands that for value that want to bet bigger. Okay, but Paul's not one and done. So now his flop sizing makes a ton of sense, and at this point, this would be a pretty tough continue. I mean, yeah. You just got to let that one go there. Nice hand, Paul.
Man with the plan, Rast. That's
Man with the plan.
These guys are thinking.
Yeah. I like that. Not a hobby,
No.
as they say in the Jeff Gross Twitch chat.
Yes.
Okay, shouting out my
I
man's
love
Twitch
it.
chat there.
I appreciate
He's got
that.
what is it when you like cut? What is the thing when it just like comes out? You don't like you type something and it just comes out. Like I have my own emoji.
Oh, hotkeys.
Hotkey, yeah. It's a hotkey.
Yeah.
That's right.
Shout out to Twitch. Shout out to YouTube. Appreciate you guys here enjoying.
That's how little I know about Twitch. I'm like,
Just
I
respect
have no
it. You
idea.
don't have to know a lot. Just respect it, and we'll keep it rolling.
I am
here.
respecting it.
I
That's
love
exactly what I was doing.
I get that. That's what I'm saying. But don't you don't have to know all the terminology. Just-
I don't.
that's fine.
I don't. That's why I ask you, buddy.
Jeff Gross here alongside Brian Rast, who is contemplating he's going to play something tomorrow, 50K turbo or hop in the 100K.
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat. What do you think? 50K turbo, 100K, main event. Let's see. I know where they're going to go,
Ooh,
Rast.
I got the 20 blinds here. It's not quite so nice versus UTG, but he's going with it.
Like, not afraid to put 100 stacks euro on the line.
This is not an easy
Wait,
call.
wait, well,
And I think if Paul opens like the button or cutoff, he calls. But I think UTG, pretty tough to call this for 20, nearly 22 blinds.
Gonna give Ike a little respect here, maybe.
I think so.
Such a pretty hand.
But it's close. It's close enough that if you just have that feeling. But yeah, I mean, I think I like that fold. Maybe if you open from later position, you look your man up, because maybe your man has a wider range.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who has widened their lead. It is Kevin Paquet, 1.5 million, second Orpin with 926. So a massive stack from Kevin, 47 to 72. Currently Makita, our 4-time Triton champ, in third, 872,000. Panakovs, who you're getting a good look at here, in fourth with 840,000. Patrick Antonius also at the feature in fifth. The Damo, fresh off his second title. Rast, never far. He's in sixth, a little behind schedule, but he's there. Phil Ivey also in seventh. Chris Brewer got a title this week in eighth. Christoph Vogelsang, tough player, in ninth. Ferdinand Putra, legend, played the 1,000,001 drop there. And we can just keep going. But you guys can also go to the Triton Poker Plus app and check out the stack, see who's in, who's out. Records, chip counts, hand histories from other tables. The tables that are locked in, we can see we lost Ben Heath, Rui Cow for a bullet. Morton Klein, first time at Triton, got off to a good start. Richard Young with the second this week. Mustafa Kanit, big time player we saw, bumped into him. Coming back tomorrow. Linus Love, Matthias Eibinger. We could just keep naming them, but Rast, the Triton Poker Plus app, people can check it out. But don't leave us. We're here with you. Sweat along. It's a nice way to do that. And we have got a flop with a nut flush draw, a wheel draw.
Wow,
Paul top pair.
Pot. Huge flop for Panakovs.
Doing a little foreshadowing. Huge pot could be, although 8-5, you know, wow.
No, I didn't want to foreshadow. Huge flop, though.
That card is going to potentially avert that as no player improves and board gets a little dicier for both, although A7 suited probably has plans to win the pot one way or the other here.
I don't know. After checking back the flop, I mean, at some point, maybe you want to grow the pot a little bit in case you hit your flush. But you also have ace high. So...
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, so he goes for a larger sizing, which I think is targeting to get some possibly flopped pairs to fold, such as a deuce or a 3. But I think with a 5, Paul's going to stick around.
And board pairs, so Paul will have the best hand if he's able to stick through the action on the river, if there is any. And Panakov's
probably aware that he doesn't have a ton of showdown, given how large his bet on the turn was.
I think he's thinking about how is this run out real? He's like, I got a lot going on here to not improve in any type of way.
So definitely going to think about bluffing, but also have to decide if my opponent's going to fold a hand that was good enough to call that out of position on the turn too, right? And he went with, I'm not going to try it. And probably a good check, because I feel like Paul probably calls a decent amount there with his hand. Yeah, would have put Paul in another tough spot. I mean, the king-jack suited was a super close spot, and the last hand could really go either way with it. And now, had Panakovs bombed that river, would have been an even tougher spot for Paul, in the sense that it's for even more chips. Paul avoided the blender. Always nice.
Yes, he did. And Panakov's having himself quite a little...
Ooh, and we might probably going to get a nice little 3-way pot here.
Yeah, having himself a day so far.
Paul, very likely to just call, and then same with Big Al, and here we go. nobody improves on this board, which is obviously good for Panakovs, who is almost certainly going to c-bet. I think Jacks is just one of the hands that likes betting the most. You have overcards that can come, that can hurt you, and we can see one of them is out there in Al's hand, but he doesn't know which one, and if not multiple. And you likely have the best hand, so it's just a hand that, for value, for protection, wants to bet. And he basically goes around half pot, and mission accomplished.
Yeah. 46 to 72. We're going to lose another player. And by lose, mean knocked out, but re-entry available. Pretty special week here so far. Some big results. Paul Poix right there in the blue you're looking at. Co-founder of Triton. 6 years now been running. And as a lot of players alluded to, they never thought this was possible. This type of production, this type of events, turnouts, buy-in size. I mean, you know, Ras, you've been playing high stakes for a long time, but 10 years ago, 12, 15 years ago, to think there was 25K be the smallest buy-in on a stop, it was kind of not really in a reality. It's certainly come to fruition here. Triton delivering in a big way. Some of the biggest stars turn out, as well as the biggest businessmen. But a lot of pro businessmen now at Ras. This is not one of those things where you think that, okay, there's the pros and then the business gentlemen are just in there clicking buttons. They have got a plan and they are executing. And we see a lot of titles won from these pro businessmen.
Well, 10 years ago, I think, was the first $1 million one drop.
Yeah.
Although that was obviously part of the World Series, which, you know, has its own thing going on, but it's not like a high stakes tournament series per se. A lot of small tournaments. But yeah, no, Triton's doing something special, and it is very largely because of this man's vision.
Yeah, it is, and I'll tell you what, we got a mystery card here for Patrick, but he's got a diamond. He called the flop.
I'll tell you what, there's a pretty good chance it's another diamond if you want to really think about it. He defended the big blind, right? I mean, from a probabilistic standpoint, he's probably defending like any suited hand, so just pick any of the other suited cards. And then otherwise, I mean, I guess you have the other aces, one of which is a diamond, maybe the other kings. Not as likely to be a 6, right? I mean, 9-6 off, might not defend. So there's a pretty good chance he has a flush.
Yeah, and Paul had a decision on that turn to barrel. Could have for sure barreled the jack of diamonds, decided not to, and as played, does he ever have any sneakiness here with a raise? Probably not.
As played, this is...
Yeah, this would be a pretty intense, and especially with the board pair, to like now take a jack of diamonds and just start to
yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, obviously he can't call, but he could decide to bluff, blocking the jack high flushes, but, I mean, that's definitely not a common play, that's for sure. I would not expect him to do it. Wouldn't even be one I'd call.
Yeah.
But this time you're working all the extreme possibilities.
Yeah, I'm in here. This is Matrix time. This is main event.
Yeah.
This is big. It's exciting. An eclectic group. Definitely a mix of pros, mix of businessmen, and also look at this. GG Poker plus Club GG. Sign up today. You can get $100 in rewards or 100% up to $600 match bonus, and of course daily Triton free rolls. You got to keep watching for more details on that. Sign up code Triton2022 to take part in that 100 in rewards or the 100% match bonus. And Rast, speaking of GG, we have Tuesday night, the Super Millions. That's every week, 10K buy-in Sundays. Final table commentary. We're doing it Tuesday night. I believe it's 2:45 Eastern time in the U.S. That is 8:45 local here in Madrid. And so we're going to do a doubleheader live and online. But today, Rast, we are calling action on the live main event. Triton, 100K euro lock-in rest. I see you thinking about tomorrow right now. I kind of caught you just sort of dreaming about hoisting that trophy. That's what it looked like you were thinking about right there. Maybe it was just a good night's sleep or something else, but it looked like you were thinking of something.
I'm just thinking about how incredible it is how you can just keep going.
I'm not.
I love
mean,
it.
I hope if there's after hours,
He's
I'm
got the
available.
energy.
Guys, if you want to do a Q&A
Shut down the
tonight,
club.
if
Lock the doors.
lock the doors, call a doctor, get strapped in. That's the deal. And if there is time for Q&A for, maybe we get a guest in here, I got nowhere to go tonight, Rast. I'm wired up. We started late today. And by we, I mean I, and you guys have been watching all day.
I didn't start late today.
Fair enough.
I had to be here before the first stream to shoot something. So
I love it.
I've been here for a long time.
I love it. It's a nice place to be.
Here we go. We're going to get a little action between these two. 20, wow. 20-something blinds. How will he play it? Call an Ike. Ike will be checking this back. Just wants to realize his equity with a suited hand. It's not one of the hands you generally try to steal with. Feel like, yeah. Usually you find weaker hands than this. Never nice to get limp shoved on and not get your equity with the Jack-4 suited, especially when you flop 3 4s, JG.
Jack-4 suited used to be one of my favorite hands when I started playing poker, and this feels like what happened. You just flop
Jeff.
big
Jeff.
hands. Yeah.
J for Jeff, 4 for it's,
Good
there's 4
number.
letters in Jeff.
I mean, I don't know what it was, but it seemed to do things like this. Flop miraculous flops, although I'm not recommending that if you're starting playing poker at home. This is not one of the stronger hands in No Limit Hold'em, but in this particular flop,
when
it's
you don't
very
have
good.
to even V-pip your big blind, that's what
Yeah,
happens.
you get to, this is a totally standard play. He played, he checked, he saw it, and now he's got a hand that actually can give him some action here.
Yeah. How is Ike going to play it?
13.5.
Well, the raise is going to be the best option versus pocket fives, that's for sure. Because pocket fives is not going to be going anywhere at the moment.
Yeah, this is actually, could get Ike a full double. That is reasonable. With this particular hand, the thing is, the 5 deuce 5 6, you are blocking those draws.
Yeah. 5 deuce 5 6,
you don't have a
5
club.
7.
35.
Oh wow, re-raise it back.
Yeah, if you're Panakovs, you're kind of trapping, right, in a way, although 5s aren't like a trappy hand. But on this board, when you limp, you're pretty high up in your limp range.
So, this 3-bet here, I don't think he's folding. So, we'll see if Ike calls or jams. Now, really, the worst card for Ike is a club. If he can fade a club, he almost certainly gets a double.
Yeah, so this is interesting, too, because if you're Panakovs, you don't want to necessarily give a free card. The 3 is slightly troubling, but is he going to raise a 3?
It is slightly troubling. Ike could raise 3s, and that class of hands is now beating him. And he is blocking a lot of straight draws with the 5s. So, it's not as bad as a club, but it's
There's
a pretty bad card.
There's a path out, it seems, possibly. Although there's no overcard to your card, to your pair.
So Ike probably small bets here. He's got exactly 1 stack to pot ratio. I think he's going to have some hands. Like, let's say he has a hand like 5 deuce. It probably wants to small bet and threaten river jam. So yeah, this play makes a ton of sense to do with bluffs or value. Like if Panakovs was just taking a shot, right, with that bet 3-bet on the flop, Ike's with his value hands and with some weak hands he has of his own, such as 5, 6 high, etc. He's going to want to make this bet, either increase the size of the pot with his good ones if he gets called, or bluff out hands with his bad ones. So yeah, it's too small to go anywhere with 5s. And now we have a nice, comfy river shove.
Yeah, it's a big brick, and
yeah, it's a bad card for Panakovs there because it doesn't fill in any draws, and he can beat all of those draws, such as missed straight and flush draws. And I just don't. Let's say Ike did hit a 9 because he had some flush draw with a 9 in it, like 9-6 of clubs. I don't think he bets it for value.
And he does leave a couple chips behind deal. That's 67.5. Not all in, but effectively.
So now Panakovs has to think about this a little bit. He isn't blocking clubs, but he's blocking straight draws. Ike could have a 3, could definitely have a 4. Yeah, he ends up letting it go.
Well done.
Yeah, nice fold.
Very well done. And
Tough spot. Tough spot, and he will be happy to see that he navigated it correctly when the hand comes on their little app, the same app we've been using, but that you can see the hands.
Yeah.
Sure, he'll check that one.
yeah, Triton Poker Plus. That is for sure. And as mentioned, Gus Hansen back in the day did I think it was Every Hand Revealed was the name of the book. He won the Aussie Millions with that, and kind of did a tape recorder the whole way.
Yeah.
Here, it's like if you win the tournament, you can kind of just be like, look, let me talk you through it. But here's what happened. I have a hand history courtesy of Triton Poker Plus and a reporter at every table calling
crazy.
the action. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
Patience.
it's easy to do the every hand revealed now if you win a tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So actually, I'll tell you what. There's a few players in this field that I wouldn't mind taking a look at how they're doing it.
Yeah.
Like Adamo comes to mind.
Chidwick.
Yeah, how they're just sort of Jason Kuhn, how they're sort of just piling through, finding chips. Every tournament, chip leader. Like I said,
There we
Adamo's
go.
behind schedule.
One of the players at this table breathing heavy into their mic. Yeah. Oh, Adamo. Oh yeah, he's in 6th.
Yeah.
Oh, Makita. Makita's another person who I would love to read a Makita Every Hand Revealed. He plays good. He's in 3rd right now. Wow, this is a great flop for Ike here. And this went, I mean, listen, Fachara has about as good of a hand as he can have. I mean, he could have 10-7, doesn't raise. He could have ace-7. Once you start getting to ace-10, aces 10, 7s versus a small blind limp, like those hands raise. So even like king-jack now. So, I mean, I think versus that range, Ike is going to feel pretty comfortable 3-streeting ace-jack. And Fachara it's going to be really hard for him to find folds given how strong of a hand he has. So this is going to be a pot where Ike, yeah, and he's going big. And Fachara is not letting this go on the turn. Oh, no, he's going small.
No, is that right? I thought I saw white in
I
there.
thought I saw white too, right? I thought I saw 30,000. I feel like
Yeah, this bet wouldn't make sense.
yeah, that graphic is wrong.
Is it
yeah.
35K? No, 30, yeah, on the dot. Okay. Thought maybe it was a 25 and 2.
Maybe
queens,
it's
but
35K. I don't know.
I think he put 30 in.
Everything's wrong on this. And
Speaking of what's wrong for Ike, the 8 has rolled off, and he can sort of start deducting hands and where he's at and what's going on, and this is definitely a semi-brick in his mind.
yeah, I mean, what calls? I mean, Jack 9. I mean, really, Jack 9 are 2 pairs that the 8 hits, such as maybe 10-8. I don't know. Does 10-8 call the turn, though? Not to an overbet.
72.
I mean,
And this is just going to get even though he's going to probably be a little concerned, of course, it's a big bet, but he has hit a card that there's not many worlds you can fold, and he's just going to be thankful that there was a big bet put out, right? Not like a medium or a small, which he might decide not to raise, but depending on the sizing, I think here he's just going to ultimately have to call. I don't see any other decision.
He might, I mean.
Think he might raise?
He might raise. Ike has much less behind than it looks because the pot's wrong. There's like an extra 55,000 in the pot. So he calls, but I mean, Ike only has, yeah, it's dicey. It's a dicey raise. I mean, you have like one of the best hands you could possibly have. Like you can have Jack 9. Like he's thinking now, like, should I have raised?
Yeah, well, speaking of raising the stakes, the stacks, this is Patrick Antonius, 786,000. He did get that big flip versus Henrik. Queens to ace king with the king in the window, followed by the queen. 157 blinds. Isaac now with 20 blinds, sitting at about 100,000. Big Al, 52 blinds, just over starting. Char with the huge pot there, getting a fortuitous river, 400K. And Paul, 82 blinds, chipping up. Ponikov's showing us some very nice post-flop play in multiple spots, multiple decisions being made. I'd say so far, very impressive. He likes fives. He seems to find himself in tricky spots with fives and making good decisions.
Yes.
Three hands.
Where you lost that?
Oh, 3 hands.
How big of a blunder was that?
Let's see how many chips.
This and 2 more or 3 more?
3 more. 3 more
This
after
and
this
3
one.
more.
1, 2, 3.
I mean, I don't think Ike has 100K there.
One
Like,
thing
it
I'm
looks
running
like he
very
has
good
like
at
70.
is
I don't want
drawing
to
the right
revive.
number of hands.
I think,
Not a lot else.
You did not min cash anywhere?
No, I have a couple cashes,
All right.
but definitely lose.
Okay, friendly.
yeah, Ike only has 70,000 right now. So I think for basically less than a full min raise, I like jamming ace-8. I mean, it's probably really the second best hand you can realistically have behind Jack 9 on the river.
I'm too wondering to wait.
So-
You had it or not? You had it in a previous hand or not?
We'll see soon.
Free probably, right?
4. Oh. Jack 4.
I would get in on the flop. I would get in on the flop. I had fives.
I guess I should have kept raising.
Okay, friendly.
Nah, I don't. I mean, I could have just aired there.
Yeah, for sure. Hard to put in the 4th bet when I can call and leave less than pot behind.
Yeah, but still, fives just. I had no club, but
Not the best hand to call the river.
These boys giving you a little look inside their mind.
Yeah, they
probably better not to have a club. I mean, to fold.
Yeah.
they agree it's not the best hand to call the river, and it's not, right? It's you're blocking a lot of bluffs.
So
All
his
those straight
opposite
draws
better
we were
have
talking about.
To call or to fold?
Better to have club.
Ike happy to see some 9s in the cutoff here as the day gets close to an end.
And
his
again,
stack,
he doesn't have 100K. He has, I mean, the app even has it right, 68,000. So 'cause those are 5K chips he just threw in. He has about 50 in that, and he has, just under, I think, 20K in the other chips.
Yep.
Oh.
And he is going to be likely playing for all of it. Not really any other scenario. He's going to get 3-bet here. Char on the button, who just got a very welcoming 8 on the river. And Big Al not going to be participating. And Ike is going to be off to the races here to try to take his stack up instead of be re-entering. He gets called quickly.
See how much I'm going to get punished by not shoving that.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Char,
Either I'm getting double punished or it doesn't matter at all. But maybe, yeah, I think you're not folding. Yeah.
Probably not. No.
Then his stable
That's pretty
break
bad- pretty bad
run
call.
good doesn't make sense.
Like giving him a little bit of
Really?
a.
We're definitely
So-
getting
so
punished
probably-
now.
So now
we
there's
have to win.
This is
Fochara was just thinking about
Yeah,
whether I
think
should
that's right.
jam.
It seems like I'm going to win this one.
Yeah.
It still seems like I'm going to win this one. It
Ike,
would
very
just be right.
confident. Down to 9% after
Very,
that
very dry.
flop.
Very optimistic.
Anybody fold a 9?
I don't remember.
Not there. He needs it
Any
on the
diamond or
river.
spade will do.
4.5%
Give him
on
the
that
king of
river
diamonds.
card.
That's true.
King of diamonds.
A lot of
Full
sevens, no nines. Ike will be calling it. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
I folded 7-8.
Nice playing with you.
Yeah, the king
likewise.
of diamonds, because if it comes out, then the
We
hand's
buy tomorrow?
a wash.
Yeah, it's a
now.
smart call. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably crazier things have
Yeah.
happened.
Oh,
It's
oh,
unlikely.
right.
That's a really difficult way to do it.
Yeah, but you have to like play on time then. You'd rather just.
Yeah.
Not anymore, no more.
Ace king
allowed
is
to buy,
I.
No, no, it's allowed, just not now.
Oh, ace king is no, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so it's a
I
rule.
is a pocket 9. I know. Small pot.
You cannot rebuy during the last few hands. But once they like tell you how many hands is left until you bag, you can't rebuy.
Oh,
Is that a rule?
I don't know.
No, but just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well go race and
I
Think
don't know,
about
like,
it.
Some places give you like if you bag, you get extra time banks. That's why,
Oh,
right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
If you rebuy now and play one hand, you get like extra whatever.
oh, that's good.
I know some places do have that. Like if you bag, you have extra time. So,
All right, Fochara talking about.
but then you have to rock up early.
My man's got a plan. He came with a plan from his wardrobe to the end of the day. He's talking about extra time bank possibilities,
Well, the
rocking the natural 8 pack.
Chips he left with Ike,
Deal for
he
poker players,
collected.
You know,
Yeah.
being straight on
By
time.
winning
or
that
you're
race.
Like, eh.
With a little interest even. Got
Yeah.
the blinds
20
and
minutes
antes in there
left.
and yeah, well played. He's got a nice stack, over 2x starting. Patrick Antonius also had a very nice day, 7-7-7 in there at the moment, and Paul with the king jack off on the button. Char's not afraid. He's opening up. He's played a bunch of hands, and he's going to have top pair with the king kicker here.
I mean, king 8 suited is not a sign that you're not afraid opening in the cutoff.
This one, no, but
Just a solid open.
he's been in there.
that you should do.
No, that's in the charts. I'm not saying he's playing crazy. I'm not saying he's out of line. Just saying he's played hands. The guy's in there mixing it up, and he brought a loud shirt. That's all I'm saying. He's doing things.
And a pretty large bet. Oh, no, sorry. It's only half pot. My brain misfired and thought it was a pot-sized bet. But it was only a half pot bet and very reasonable with top pair, good kicker.
Yeah, having himself a little day coming down the last hands. Definitely, if you start the day and you're in the main, you're like, come and double your stack.
Yeah,
It's pretty nice.
more than double, right? I mean, you start with
I
250.
just didn't want to use time bank for that spot. I don't know. That was bad.
Me too.
I was probably worth it. You know, if you were sitting there with 3 time bank, I'd probably use my 1 time bank thinking it's okay.
Yeah, he's talking about something. I face this dilemma as well. You only have limited time to make it, and sometimes you're like, should I use a time bank for this or not? Then you just got to make your decision before you run out of time. You know, is it worth it to use the time bank this early in the tournament, especially for something that wasn't that big? It was a big pot, but not like that big. It wasn't first tournament life. It's time bank economy. Interesting question.
Oh, what's going on?
All.
And here we go. I think this is the last hand.
Getting there. 1 or 2 more, I'm not sure, but
All right, so these two played a pot before, if we remember. 7-8 suited in the pocket 5. So Al may be deciding he's not going to try to get Ponikoffs to fold anything.
555.
He had a pretty nice hand to c-bet this board with. But, you know, Ponikoffs has more threes. He's the big blind defense. It's dicey.
Showing a lot of heart already. He knows the kid's not afraid.
Yeah. Ponikoffs now might want to bet and get queen, king, and ace highs the fold. He's got a gutter. He's got a heart. Maybe he goes
Quick call from Al.
insta call.
And no player improves here, so Jack High is the best hand. When you get called on the turn, it's an interesting spot as well. He actually has the best hand. Not too many hands he's going to get checked back on the flop. Called here, he's going to be ahead
If
of.
he checks, Al's going to bluff this. I mean, you can't, I don't know, you can't call the turn, I think, with 10-9 there for half pot and not bluff the river some at least. But
don't think he's going to get a chance.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Oh, easy. Oh, check. Check, check.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he didn't expect.
No, he didn't expect to win in a check down. But, you know, sometimes it's the last hand of the day.
Yeah.
You're just happy to bag it up.
Yeah.
You know.
Little history there, too.
Little history. Don't have to take the end of the day bluff. Bag it up. Come back tomorrow.
Yeah. No one remembers anyway the last hand. It's a new day. You keep your stack. You don't get hero called twice by the same guy at the end. And Big Al with 208, though. Still got a day of play. Right around starting stack. Everyone else has increased their stack from the starting stack. Maybe a bullet or two re-entries. We're not sure specifically, but what we do know, Rast, is there are 2 levels of late reg tomorrow. You're debating about playing. There will be others joining. We're going to have a massive prize pool, and this is quite a main event it's shaping up to be. And we got a really nice feature table for us today. So I think overall, I'd say very special stuff, Rast. We are going to be we're going to be talking about a hand or two, and I want to ask you about those 5s in particular, because we saw a couple 5s played, the last one against Ike, but the one against Big Al. What did you think about that hand in particular from Ponikoffs?
Yeah, you know, thinking about that hand a little bit further, it feels like maybe the raise on the flop was a little too small.
Yep.
Gave Ponikoffs a little bit too good of a price to continue, so he did. Then he just got the turn for free. He probably folds the turn to a continuation bet there of anything other than a tiny sizing.
Yep.
Pretty hard to continue, I think. And then on the river, when it just comes blank, and now all of a sudden he's in a spot where he's still ahead of, like, all his opponent's missed draws, right? If your opponent really had a big hand, how often is he going to just check on such a draw-heavy board, just check the turn?
Right.
Right? Like, ace-jack plus, top 2 pair set. Are those hands really checking the turn there and then betting the river for value?
Yeah.
So after piecing it all together, you know, the river call seems pretty normal. The flop call is where you question it, but I think what led him there is that Big Al's check raise was very small. So,
Yep.
so that's how I'd break that down.
Yeah, it was a very cool hand, and it's been a treat to see today. I want to quickly recap on the app. Let's go to the Poker Triton Plus app and take a look here as we take a look at the top of the chip counts. Shaping up to be quite an event, and we see a massive lead, 1.5, almost 1.5 million from Kevin Paquet. Orpin, who's no stranger to the high stakes, and second, and Makita, who did get his 4th Triton title, is in 3rd, and of course Ponikoffs, who we saw maneuvering, and Antonius in 4 and 5. Some other huge names, Adonimo in the top 10 there in 7th. You guys can kind of scroll there and see yourself, but I do want to leave with some rest. Hold on, wait, before we cut that rest.
Oh,
that's,
sorry,
sorry,
I thought we were
to
done.
cut there yet, but
Yeah, my bad. I thought we were on the app.
Hey, we're almost
I was
off
ready
air.
to get
Calm
going
down.
with the champagne.
Wait, we've had quite a day. It's been exciting.
Yeah.
We saw another Triton champion crowned, the short deck event going. Again, we have had a bunch of winners. We've had a couple repeat winners. Adamo doing it twice in the same week. We had a 4-time winner in Makita, and we've had a lot of history made here. Paul Pois also getting a title. So I want to leave you with some closing thoughts. I want you guys to go check out the Triton Poker Plus app. I want you to join us again tomorrow. We will be here for a full day to play down to the final table, 2 levels before Reg closes. Biggest names, brightest names in the game. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm Jeff Gross, Brian Rast. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, good night. Thank you.